Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to quickly break down the big U.S. news stories you need to know about.
Yeah, looking beyond the headlines, today we've got quite a mix, an attack in D.C., tax cuts, a Supreme Court case, a plane crash.
Right. And an execution, the end of the penny, tariffs. A lot going on. Let's try and connect some of these dots.
Okay, sounds good. Where should we start? That shooting in Washington, D.C. seems particularly alarming.
Definitely. This happened Wednesday night.
Oh,
Two Israeli embassy staff members, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Lynn Milgram, were killed outside the Capitol Jewish Museum.
a terrible event. And reports say the suspect, Elias Rodriguez, shouted "Free Palestine" when he was arrested.
That's right. Which, immediately points things in a certain direction.
It does. It raises immediate questions about motive terrorism, a hate crime, the location, the Capitol, near federal buildings, and the victim's connection to Israel. It's got huge implications.
And we've seen strong reactions already. Israeli officials like Netanyahu promising more security.
Right. And Sarah, too. And here, President Trump, FBI Director Patel, they're talking about domestic terrorism concerns, anti-Semitism. It's being taken very seriously.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift from that to Capitol Hill. The House managed to pass that tax cut bill President Trump's been pushing for.
Yeah, part of that bigger Republican budget resolution. But he wasn't a slam dunk, was it?
No, reports say it was a narrow vote. Seems like some conservatives were worried about the national debt.
Exactly. That's the perennial tension, isn't it? Balancing tax cuts with deficit concerns. It shows, some cracks perhaps, or at least ongoing debate within the GOP itself.
So what's the potential impact here? The aim is low taxes, stimulate the economy following Trump's policies.
That's the goal. Whether it works or just adds to the debt, that's the big question economists are debating. And of course, it still needs to get through the Senate.
Right. Okay, now over to the Supreme Court. A 4-4 deadlock on a case about a religious charter school.
Yeah, the first potential religious charter school, actually. The deadlock means the lower court ruling stands.
And that ruling was?
That it was unconstitutional. The state Supreme Court found it violated the separation of church and state.
Ah, okay. So the deadlock essentially upholds that principle for now in this case.
Pretty much. It highlights the ongoing fight over religion in public education, and, well, it also shows how the current makeup of the court affects these big constitutional questions. These 4-4 splits leave things unsettled nationally.
Got it. Now, switching gears to something tragic, that small plane crash in San Diego.
Awful news. Multiple fatalities, homes destroyed. Just devastating for that community.
And investigations are ongoing, of course. Does this tie into any broader concerns we've been hearing about?
Well, it inevitably brings up the general topic of aviation safety. There's been talk recently about air traffic control issues, maintenance standards.
Right.
While we don't know the cause here yet, any crash like this is a stark reminder of the risks and why those safety systems are so critical.
Yeah.
The human cost is just immense.
Then, in Tennessee, there was an execution.
Yes, a man executed by lethal injection. He was convicted of murdering his wife and her 2 sons.
Executions always bring up intense debate, don't they?
Absolutely. It forces a hard look at capital punishment, the ethics, the methods, the question of justice itself. Especially now, with so much scrutiny on lethal injection protocols and the morality of the death penalty overall.
Okay. On a completely different note, something affecting everyone's loose change. The U.S. Mint is stopping production of the penny.
That's the plan. They're set to mint the last one. It sounds like a small thing, but it reflects a bigger shift.
Why now? Is it just not worth it anymore?
Basically, yeah. The cost to make a penny is actually more than 1 cent, so economically it's inefficient. Plus, with digital payments, fewer people use cash, let alone pennies.
So it's a practical move. Any real impact besides maybe for collectors?
Probably not huge. Maybe some minor adjustments for cash transactions, rounding up or down. It's more symbolic, really, of how currency use is changing.
Interesting. Okay, finally, let's touch on the economy and those tariffs. We're seeing reports about retailers like Walmart and Target having different experiences.
Yeah, it seems the tariffs are hitting retailers unevenly. It highlights a growing divide, maybe based on their size, their supply chains, how they source products.
So some are managing better than others.
It appears so. Companies like Walmart might have more leverage or flexibility to absorb the costs compared to others. It puts pressure on pricing, on operations.
And this connects back to Trump's broader economic policies.
Definitely. It shows the real-world effects of those tariff policies on businesses and ultimately on consumer prices. It's a reflection of those ongoing tensions in global trade and how they play out right here at home on the tar shelves.
So quite a range of stories this week. We've covered national security,
Hmm.
economic policy, the courts, safety, justice, even money itself.
We really have. And when you look at them together, even though they seem unrelated, you start to see these recurring themes, don't you? Questions about security, political division, economic pressures, constitutional debates.
It shows how complex things are.
Exactly. They're all snapshots of the different challenges and conversations happening across the U.S. right now. Each one tells part of a larger story about where the country is headed.
So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. How do these separate events, these headlines, actually weave together? What deeper trends about American society might they be revealing, and what could the long-term impact be? Something to think about.